Episode 3. We've made it this far. We may as well keep on going on Coastin with Piv and Finer. David Fine and Evan Pivnik with you. Evan, I'm really excited to chat with our guests this week. We have Tanner Sorenson from the Kalamazoo Wings, a very energetic forward who was a great interview, as well as Jared Shafran, the reigning ECHL broadcaster of the year. But we're into week 3 of the ECHL season. We have some undefeated teams. We have some teams looking to get off the schneid, and FloHockey bringing it all to you so far this season.
Yeah, it's fun. Things are underway and things are taking off and things are going pretty well for the most part in terms of, safety and whatnot. And it's just nice to be able to have stable hockey back and to be able to look at Twitter, look on Flow Sports and be able to catch some live hockey games, which is really cool.
Indy with an overtime winner this week. They're our superlative team of the week along with the Florida Everblades. So Indy's 3-0 in the Western Conference. Florida's 4-0. And then you have Allen leading the Mountain Division. Again, there's only 3 divisions this year, and just Indy and Wheeling in the Central. Wheeling still looking to get a win. Orlando went up there, won a couple in a row. Jacksonville, Greenville are 1-3, rounding out the bottom of the South. And then you have South Carolina, Orlando, and Florida looking good in the South. Allen leading in the Mountain. And that's pretty much where we sit. We haven't had a weekday game yet. And I wanted to start off to say a very happy holidays to you. I think that's part of the reason we haven't had a weekday game yet, because as soon as the holidays are over, we're going to start having some more midweek hockey, the typical Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday 4 and 5s that we normally see throughout an ECHL season.
Yeah, I'm sure the guys who are playing and I'm sure the guys who are working and guys and gals who are working for their respective teams are probably enjoying the fact that there are no weekday games right now and playing more towards of a college season than anything else. But as you said, after the holiday season, things will pick up for sure, especially when the second half of teams come in right at the second week of January. So enjoy your rest while you can. Enjoy the holidays. Spend some time with family on Zoom, social distance to wear the masks and whatnot, and then get ready for some weekday hockey. No school day games, I don't think, in any of the teams this season, which I'm sure a lot of staff members and players are both thankful for. But it's definitely going to be fun the next couple of weeks when you're starting to see the teams that waited for the second startup date to start having training camp, and then we have a lot more to talk about when things get really rolling here in Coastin.
NHL's back January 13th. The ECHL started a month before. I'm really looking forward to the NHL getting going, and then the AHL is going to formulate their plan a little bit more off of that, and there hasn't been a determination of how long an AHL schedule might go, but NHL teams are back, and I'm excited for that. Again, working with the Royals, affiliate of the Flyers, and we have that old Metro Division rivalry with the New Jersey Devils. You work for the Adirondack Thunder, of course. So I'm excited to see what happens in the new division structure, which is why I called it the old Metro Division.
Yeah, and it seems like 5 years ago or so they changed the divisions to incorporate a few other teams. But yeah, it's really nice to see the NHL come back and have a formative plan. They did it so well when it came to the bubble for the playoffs and that play-in round as well. It was a lot of fun, I think, especially for the fans, just to kind of get away from what's going on for a little bit, to be able to watch the NHL. And again, the league did a great job in terms of presentation when it comes to around the arena, the way they made the broadcast kind of so creative when it comes to using those different scoreboards. I know a lot of the guys thought it was kind of strange at first, but I think they got used to it and they realized the task at hand. And this, the hand they were dealt and the hand they have to play, and I think they did the best job they can with it.
So as the players commute back to their respective cities and the broadcasters maybe travel cross-country, as I know some guys might have summer homes which turned into winter homes in different areas of the country from where they might be broadcasting their games, or wishing everyone up in the big leagues in the NHL a wonderful start to their season as well. We caught up with Tanner Sorenson to lead it off first on Coastin, the forward from the Kalamazoo Wings. If Kalamazoo was playing this year, he would have a very long commute. He's up in Alaska where he joins us for the start of this interview.
You know him. He is the winner of the most recent mustache contest for the Kalamazoo Wings. He's played in the ECHL for a while. We're going to learn a little bit more about him. It's Tanner Sorenson. Tanner, thanks for hopping on here on Coastin with Piv and Finer.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited.
Well, I know right now you're up in Alaska where you guys are enjoying your minimal amount of sunlight for the day. And again, we appreciate you staying inside and enjoying what could be your very limited time in seeing the sun, but spending it here via Zoom with us.
Yeah, no, I think we got about 4 or 5 hours of sunlight today, so I figured no better way to take care of it than join you guys on this.
So sun rose at 10:30, and right now we're recording. It's the afternoon here on the East Coast, but it's 11 in the morning there. So the sun's going to last until 2:30, 3, 4 o'clock maybe at most.
Yeah, I think we got till 4 o'clock. I'm actually going to get myself a little massage here soon, and then we're thinking about going to skate out on a Clutna Lake. It's really cool. The NHL actually tweeted out a video the other day, surrounded by mountains. It's awesome. So hopefully we get out there. We've had about a foot of snow in the last 2 days since we got here, so it's been cool.
How cold is it up there right now?
Honestly, Anchorage doesn't get bad. Like, it's like 20, 25 here. I always say Kalamazoo has worse winter. Chicago has a worse winter. So we get pretty lucky in Anchorage, where you go to Fairbanks, you get like -40 some days. It's not fun.
Yeah, I remember when I went to college at Bowling Green, so we'd go up to Alaska. I went 5 times in 3 years. We went to, I think, Anchorage twice and Fairbanks 3 times. And I remember how just drastically colder Fairbanks is. It's a little more desolate than Anchorage is. But I always enjoyed my time in Anchorage. A couple of good spots to go hang out, and the rink's pretty cool there too. It's been pretty cool growing up in Anchorage.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I mean, we grew up when I grew up, the Aces were a huge deal, and UAA was a great organization they had going on there. But I just remember going to the Aces games all the time at Sullivan Arena and watching guys like Justin Johnson. And then he ended up being my first pro line mate for the Aces, which was pretty cool.
So right after college, you signed with the Aces. How cool was that for you, just to be able to sign your first pro deal on a team that you grew up when you were a kid that kind of made you fall in love with the game?
Yeah, it was sweet. I mean, I was beyond excited. I had the picture. I was going home. I was going to see family, get to play in front of family, and play at the rink where I grew up around, right? So that was pretty cool. And then it turned out that I joined them on a California trip. So we just did a little West Coast trip. We were in Stockton and Ontario, and then went over to Idaho, and then we got eliminated from playoffs. So the last 3 games were at home for the season. They decided to just send me back to school. So I didn't even get to travel to Alaska or anything. I just joined them on a nice West Coast trip and then went back.
I want to ask about you playing in Kazakhstan, but I also want to ask about Alaska, because you think you're pretty much going halfway around the world to go from Alaska even to Kalamazoo and then to Kazakhstan. It's like that's almost as halfway around the world as you can get in a certain sense. But I wanted to ask first, you played at Michigan State. East Lansing is a great town. You came out of Shattuck St. Mary's and went to Michigan State. Take us back a little bit to when you were preparing to go into college and ended up going into college. How did the decision come to end up playing in the wonderful city of East Lansing?
Ironically, we went to when I played for the Alaska All-Stars growing up in youth, we went to nationals, and I want to say it was Livonia. And my dad was our coach at the time, so he reached out to Brian Renfrew, who's a Fairbanks guy and coached there for a handful of years. I think he scouts with the Jets now. But reached out to him. We got to practice there and do a rink tour. And ever since that day I knew I was going to Michigan State. So when I got the chance to commit there going into my senior year of high school, it was a no-brainer for me. And it was awesome. I had an awesome 4 years there. I loved it. Shattuck St. Mary's was an amazing experience. If I could do any 4 years over again, it would for sure be those 4 years. I think I spent about 6 or 7 summers in a row going out there to work hockey camps and train and hang out with old buddies. So it was always a great environment and atmosphere there. And Kazakhstan, that's a whole nother world.
All right, you opened the Pandora's box. So I don't want to attempt to pronounce the team name that you played for. So I'll allow you to do it if you still remember or even learned how. So how do you pronounce the team name that you played for? You played there back in 2017-18.
Yeah, so it was called Ust-Kamenogorsk Torpedo. And then our town where people would go Oskman. So it was a very eye-opening experience. It's something that I think I was lucky to get to do. It was something I've never seen. We had a river go through our town that was the stream was so fast that it never froze. But our winter, we got down to like 60 below, 50 below for a solid week or 2 weeks straight. And it ended up freezing. So it was like the first time in forever it froze. And then next thing you know, it thawed out and our town actually flooded in the middle of winter. So our airport shut down. It was frozen over. It was like couldn't fly in, couldn't fly out. And it was the week we were leaving to go back home. So we were like, oh no, like we're going to be stranded here. Like this isn't good. And we got lucky enough to where like a day or two before our flight out, the town actually thawed out. So we got to fly out. That's one of like the most, I think, unbelievable stories I could say. Like I can't make it up. It was crazy.
What inspired that decision to take that opportunity to go overseas and play over in Kazakhstan?
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't money, but it was a tough decision. I remember like yesterday, I got called in July. I was actually at Shattuck working hockey camp, and it was one of the like. At first, I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, this isn't right. Like, this isn't for me. Like, I was thinking, like, this is for someone like an AHL guy, you know, someone that's been around for a while in a higher up league. And then finally I decided, you know what, like, I get a good chance to make some good money for myself. I get a good chance to get an experience that not one person I ever live with or talk to will ever get to experience. And I think if you ask Bootland, he'll even tell you could probably tell in my voice, I didn't want to go, but I wanted to go. So I'm happy I did it. It was a cool experience. The hockey it was really good hockey. I would say the top teams would be lower end AHL and kind of like a better East Coast team. And then at the bottom, the money kind of takes over. And those lesser teams just, they're not as good. They can't keep up with the other teams, but it was good hockey. It was a great experience. I think it helped my game a lot because when I came back, I kind of took off running and ended up getting an AHL deal for myself, which was cool.
You got the AHL deal with Utica and you returned to Kalamazoo. So a few years with Kalamazoo, then you go and play overseas for a little bit more than a year. And then you mentioned you get the AHL deal. When you think about the progression of your career, and obviously right now there is no hockey in Kalamazoo and you had signed there, but what do you feel about the current situation and the last few years of your game and what motivates you to continue to play?
I've been really happy, obviously. It's always good when you get to see yourself, the progress and all, like everything you're doing is paying dividends for you. So it's awesome to see that each year I've improved, and it's always tough when you start to see it kind of go downward. So that's one thing no one wants to happen. I would credit it to a little bit of everything. I think you learn, like the game in Kazakhstan and Russia is a lot different than the game here, and the game in the A was a lot different than the game with Kalamazoo, and just being in a different role for myself. Like in Utica, I wasn't really the go-to guy, right? I kind of had to pay my dues, grind, dump and change, which I hate dumping, but I had to, you know, you had to learn and evolve your game. And then in Kazakhstan, you got the bigger ice. I think just the game and how Russians play in general is a lot different than Americans. Just like Swedes play a lot different than Russians and all that. So I think it kind of all tied together, which made it for a cool thing to see.
And for a guy like you, who's not the biggest guy on the ice, does that bigger ice help you in terms of really finding your, well, pun intended, stride when it comes to your skating abilities, maybe finding some things that you didn't really know about yourself?
Oh, for sure. I think it actually helped me gain confidence in my stride, as you would say. I think I became faster and noticed that I could use my speed and how I skate to an advantage on the smaller sheets, where before I didn't have the Olympic sheet to kind of learn and teach myself that. So I think just having more room, having more time, it helped me with poise, it helped me with puck skills, and kind of learn to hold on to the puck for one more second and then dish it to someone or shoot it. So I think all of it kind of benefits you in a way, which is awesome.
Kalamazoo is a wonderful minor league hockey ECHL city. What makes it special to you?
I love it there. I've lived there for 5 years. I've spent every summer there since college. I live downtown Kalamazoo right now, normally, obviously in Alaska now. But I think it's special to me just because it kind of gave me a second breath of fresh air. After college, I didn't play much my senior year or junior year. So I think leaving there and getting a chance in Kalamazoo was awesome. I actually signed a tryout out of college with Bootland. He offered me a contract after camp, and I had a contract with the Aces at the time, but I went with the tryout instead and kind of gambled on myself. I thought it would be better for me staying in Michigan, being in the Midwest, kind of my home now. So I think it's just it breathes second life for my hockey career, which I can't say enough about that.
And you also got to throw in the Kalamazoo Beer Exchange as well, one of the staples.
I love there, yeah. I'm a big Bell's guy. I like Bell's Brewery a lot. Cool.
Bell's is a good one, and I remember one of my favorite beers from the Michigan area is Odd Side Ales.
Okay.
So they have a beer called Beer Me and Bean Flicker Ale are my two favorite beers.
I know that one, yeah.
Yeah, those are I actually have a whole bunch in my fridge, which is very hard to get, and they're very mean to me when I try to DM them to say, can you guys send me some beer? Because they don't sell them here in New York. And they're like, we'll find someone to to ship them to you. So it was very rude, but I still love their product. Please sponsor us if you're listening, Odd Side Ales. Yeah, but yeah, but the Midwest, I mean, in Michigan, in Kalamazoo, from the time that the few times that I've been to, a Wings game when the Thunder have played there, it's also a really cool arena. The rink's really cool. It has that old school, almost Slapshot vibe to it. And I think it must be really fun to play in.
I love it. And the best part is everyone hates it. When they come to play us, they hate it. They hate playing there. It's like they're like a small rink, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, it's fine with me. I like the feel. It's kind of like when it is packed in there, it's loud. Like it kind of echoes and it's all in your ear and people are above you. So I like that aspect. It's kind of got that old school feel to it, which is cool.
Yeah, and the locker room hallways are very small and very hard to get gear through when you're packing up and taking stuff out. But, again, a great place to watch a game.
Very true. Very true.
Your dad, high school coach in Alaska forever, what kind of an impact did he play on your career?
I mean, you'd have to say a huge one. He was my coach till I left for Shattuck in 9th grade. He kind of coached the same. I'd say we had a good group of like 10 to 12 guys that we all played together my whole raising childhood in Alaska, which is awesome. They're still some of my best friends. And it was crazy growing up because he coached guys that play like Matt Carl and all those guys. I was around them my whole life, those Alaska pro guys. There's Stabinsky, Gomez, Carl, Nate Thompson. Joey Crabb played for a bit. Tim Wallace played for a bit. So I think growing up, skating around the side of the rink, getting bumped around and messed around with those guys kind of helped me gain the love and helped me progress as a player. And then obviously my dad being the guy he is here with hockey. He's actually at a Team Alaska U15 practice right now. So he's trying to stay busy with hockey as COVID's going around here too. High school is postponed till March for him. I think that's been a hard thing for him. He's got a reputation to keep around here, he likes to think. But I think he played the biggest role just being the hockey guy he is.
If Scott Gomez doesn't have the best Instagram account in the world, I don't know who does at least for a former hockey player. And there's a number of guys that you mentioned, and it seems like there's a certain pride that comes with being an Alaskan that is playing hockey, at least from the outside looking in. How would you describe that pride that you feel as an Alaskan playing pro hockey?
Yeah, I think the cool part is it's such a small community up here, and like everyone knows everyone, weirdly enough. Or if you don't know me, you know someone who's close friends with me. It's one of those feels, which is really cool because they all support one another. You're kind of always looking in the news, or you'll see something on Twitter about another Alaskan. You're like, oh, good for them. Like, it's awesome to see them doing something. So I think just being kind of secluded up here gives that homey vibe, and I think everyone runs with it. And Gomez, like, I would have never, knowing him, I would have never thought his Instagram would ever be something like what he's doing now. And I think last week I saw him take a slap shot at some guy's undercarriage. I was like, what's going on here? But he seems to be happy, loving life, and living the Alaskan dream up here.
So that's what he's doing to keep himself busy. Tanner, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during, pretty much since hockey ended back in March?
Well, sadly, I don't have his bank account. So I started taking a real estate class, and I actually just got my real estate license last month. So when I return back to the Midwest in January, I'm going to start doing that.
So if you need a home in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Tanner Sorenson will be your guy.
That's me. I'm your guy. So I'm doing that. And then our youth program has been on and off with COVID. They were off for like 2-3 weeks, and they just started back up a week ago. So I've been doing that a lot, which is nice. It's cool to be around hockey guys, obviously, get that locker room feeling and hang out with a couple people like yourself. So
it's been a joy. We really appreciate you hopping on and wishing you a wonderful and happy holiday season, Tanner.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome. Hopefully you guys can run off with this and go big in the podcast world.
We're trying.
That'd be great. Enjoy your last, 45 minutes now of sunlight. Put a pair of sunglasses on and enjoy the massage.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully go shred the mountain here sooner than later.
Thanks a lot, Tanner.
Thank you. I had a really fun time chatting with Tanner Sorenson. He is a wonderful interview to have on Coastin, and we have Jared Shafrin, the voice of the South Carolina Stingrays, coming up next. But it's time for our own version of the weekly awards. We have 2 to hand out. We have a competition for the play of the week, 2 plays here. We start off with Patrick Harper, a wonderful goal. His 5th goal in just 4 games for the Florida Everblades.
To center. Here comes Harper across the blue line for the Blades. Dances around a man. In front. He scores! How good is this kid?
Yeah, and that's just there are pretty plays for sure, but this one, there are plays you draw up and you want them to go perfectly, and this is one that just goes perfectly. Little, odd man rush that comes out of nowhere. You get a defender to bite down, and then the big goal to cap it off. It doesn't really get better than that in terms of just simplicity and just how pretty it looks. Hockey's a pretty sport as it is, but when you do stuff like that, come on, it's art.
An excellent, excellent goal from Patrick Harper, someone that had an illustrious career at Boston University. I remember watching him. I think he played a handful of games when I was back in juniors, working in juniors. He was with the Omaha Lancers, didn't really stick around too long there, and then had 37 points as a freshman for an ultra-talented Boston University squad. We're going to go to our next play, South Carolina Stingrays, Jacksonville Icemen, and our first save nominee of the year, and it's a beauty.
From Pesky was blocked as well by Yuli. Near side, Kama shot, deflection, save. Rebound, Fucali dove and stopped it, and now he covers up. Zach Fucali with his best save.
Excellent, sprawling, all-out extension save by Zach Fucali there. Someone that we've seen play live a number of times, Evan, and he is still looking excellent now down in the South Division with the Stingrays.
He's one of those goalies that kind of pops up wherever you may be playing in the ECHL. Jared Shafrin making a great call on a great save by Fucali in a big moment as well. And guys just make this look so easy. It's really not easy at all, the way the goaltenders move and whatnot. I have trouble stretching up out of bed in the morning. I don't know how guys on skates can make those stretches and still have hand-eye coordination.
I had a hard time getting out of bed too on a Monday today, so I'll be in agreement with you there. If I try to go for a run in the morning, and there are some mornings where you take that first jogging step, and today it was like the left hamstring kind of just felt like it was a fish being caught into a net, and you were like, this thing might fall off. So, yes, these guys are uber-talented athletes, and Fucali with an excellent save there. Someone that did a very nice call of the week. Who's it going to be? I looked for Jesse Liebman, an overtime winner in Wheeling. Alex Green with the goal.
Looking for his options. Pikanich on the left-hand side now. Luchuk to his right along with Green. Green receives the pass at the circle. Tries to put it in front. Off the toe of a Nailers player. It caromed off the skate. Pikanich holds the line across to Green. High slot, Luchuk looks ahead. Green all alone, shoots, score! Alex Green wins it for the Solar Bears in overtime. Final score, 3-2. The first pro goal for the Cornell University product. And the Solar Bears sweep the Nailers for the weekend series. 4 points in the bag, and they're headed home.
Well, boy, Jesse is just a wonderful broadcaster, a wonderful friend of the show. He gave a like when we said that we were going to be recording today, and he doesn't know that he's featured on the show just yet. So very happy for Jesse, an ultra-professional in his own right down in Orlando.
Yeah, and Jesse, don't look in the mail. We're not sending you anything in terms of this award. So don't get too excited, but do get excited on the fact that we are giving you an award this week for Call of the Week. Again, we are not sending anything to you. Do not expect anything, whether it be a present for the holidays. I am not sending you anything personally. I'm just sending you my best.
I might send him a gift card to his favorite Chinese restaurant for Christmas or Christmas Eve. But other than that, yes, Jesse, you will not be getting anything in the mail. Jared Shafrin joins us next on Coastin. Thanks for hopping on with us here in Charleston. It's a lot warmer than it is where we are recording from. How is everything with you, my friend? It is great to have you on Coastin, the first broadcaster to be a guest on Coastin.
I feel honored that I'm the first broadcaster. Big fan, dedicated watcher of this show, and extremely happy to be on, and love what you guys do. So keep it up.
So when our people contacted your people to arrange this, I'm sure there were like butterflies and every emotion you could possibly have since now you're on the show.
Absolutely. It was a treat when those people reached out. I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah, for those watching at home, we have a very extensive group of people that work for us to get our guests for us, and they also do all the production and make this possible, as well as make us look good.
I can't wait till you get those people to get into the wood panel basement so they can make the room look a little better.
That's a show reference. You nailed a show reference.
Nails it. So the wood panel basement will be the host site of the fantasy basketball draft. That will be my location tonight. I'm hoping I get the number one pick in the randomized auto draft, Luka Doncic, and then maybe smaller league, we get Kevin Durant. We can go from there. But yes, the wood panel basement will be making an appearance. I do not want to talk about New York sports for at least a few minutes, so we're going to hold off on that. We'll start with something serious. How is the season going there? How are you adjusting to the new protocols that are taking place to make sure that everyone is staying safe in Charleston?
Well, the season's going really well. We've had 3 games. Our roster is fully intact. It is nice, to have the spotlight on us. The only, league that's playing right now professionally in North America, and we can tell. We've gotten a lot of great coverage from our media, both locally and, with Hershey and Washington not playing either, a lot of Capitals-related media coming down here as well. And it's definitely an adjustment, as you mentioned. We are doing everything we can, and so that means there's less access. I don't get to know the players as well. I've had, honestly, there's some guys on our team that I've had very, very limited conversations with, and I don't really know them that well right now because I'm staying away from. Normally, I would be hanging out in the locker room, chatting with players, for broadcast references and just to get to know guys for behind-the-scenes social media content, things like that. And while we do have 11 returning players, which is great because I already know those guys, a large majority of the roster, a lot of our staff hasn't really had that much contact with them. They come to the rink, they practice, they go back home, they stay in their apartment. They come back to the rink, they play the games, they go back home, and they stay healthy. And so luckily so far we haven't had any issues with the health of our players. Everybody is doing great, but it's definitely an adjustment on our end as far as the promotion and the rest of our product is going.
27.
Yeah, it's great to hear.
Oh, go ahead. We're so excited to talk to him.
I know we have so many questions.
So many.
What I was going to say, it's got to feel really nice to get that support too, because the way the season ended last year for you guys were on a roll. You were one of the top teams in the ECHL. You guys were absolutely killing it last year, and then it ended just like that, and you guys weren't able to get any sort of closure. But to get those 11 guys back and to be back in the swing of things, it's got to feel good just to be able to kind of pick up where you left off.
Absolutely. And that's what's been so exciting, in large part because of, limited jobs being available and because we had such a great group last year that really enjoyed this team. When we called guys who had excellent seasons last year, even some guys in, referencing Cole Yulee, who's our leading scorer through 3 games, he's got 4 points. He scored a point in all 3 of our games. He was on an AHL deal with Hershey last year. He was probably going to look, he's a 50-point scorer last year. He's probably going to look for an AHL deal again. Well, there's not any AHL teams playing right now. So he said, you know what, I'd love to be back in Charleston. I had such a good time last year. And the same thing with Tarek Hammond, one of our best defensemen from last season, was also on an AHL deal with Hershey. So with Hershey not playing and jobs being less available, all of a sudden, a lot of guys who may have gone elsewhere or looked for other jobs, they were like, sign me up. Let's go. Let's get the band back together. We got unfinished business. We had a great time here last year. We know our core, is staying in touch and is good friends. So in the off season, all the guys were like, you know what? Screw it. Let's play. Let's have fun. Let's have another good season in Charleston. And we're seeing the results of that. Obviously, it's just 3 games into the season, but defensively, the team looks just as good as it was last year. And up front, we're absolutely stacked with great talent. So it's been fun to watch those guys continue that good gel that they had going in the locker room last year.
5th year with the Stingrays now, if I'm remembering correctly. You had that year at Ferris State, and then before then, a number of years with the Tri-City Storm, an organization I'm familiar with. But before touching on the history aspect, this year's different because I don't think ever we would think that in a front office's history, you would have the general manager of a team, as you did down there, president and leadership there in South Carolina, come to you as a front office and stress the importance of your actions, Jared, directly affect the rest of the Stingrays front office away from the rink, in making sure that you are not going and eating indoors with a number of people that you might not know, that you're making sure that you are staying safe and healthy yourself. You have had the coronavirus. Luckily, it was apparently a very mild case from what Evan and I know, but talk to us a little bit about what the message from the leadership was there to you as a front office member.
Yeah, I think the message has been the same no matter who you are within this organization, whether you're someone like our public address announcer that is only at the arena on a game day, or a full-time staff member like myself or the other people in our front office, or the players or our supports, trainers, equipment managers, our stick boys, those guys who help out near the locker room. The message is the same for everyone. Your actions can do a lot of harm if you are not careful, if you're not staying, if you're not going to do the right things, you're going to impact people negatively. So, obviously all the things about sanitizing, hand washing, gloves when necessary, masks everywhere. Like, I don't have my mask on right now, but basically, I've got it with me at all times, because in the office, we're all wearing masks all day. At the arena, I have not been in the arena without a mask on, other than during the 3 hours of a broadcast. I'm in a plexiglass bubble area, so I'm allowed to have the mask off when I'm on the air, but walking around the arena, interacting with other people, my mask is on basically 24/7. And so, yeah, it's been one of those things right from the top down, is how terrible would it be, or really silly, if, a couple people from the front office make a bad choice and then they see someone else who then contacts the players, and all of a sudden we're all sick and we can't play. So it's been an extremely, serious thing for us. And for myself personally, I am not technically in the bubble, like, as far as I'm not really downstairs. I'm not having contact with players. I'm staying away from them. However, I am treating it like I am. So, like I was saying about our players, when I go home at the end of the day, other than basically going to the grocery store, I am in my apartment. I am in the front office here, and that's about it. I have not gone to any restaurants or any other social places. I went to the esteemed Holiday Festival of Lights here, and I was in my car the entire time driving through it. Things like that. I'm still trying to get out and do a couple things here and there, but for the most part, I'm basically in that bubble type atmosphere, and I'm not going anywhere.
And for someone who has had it, I mean, for like such as yourself, there's kind of like a thing, especially, and more so younger people than older, when it comes to pandemics and stuff like that. A lot of people think, oh, well, it'll never happen to me. It's always like kind of this more so invincibility sort of thing. And then once you kind of see it firsthand, it's like, oh, well, I should start taking this seriously. I know that's probably not your way of thinking. You're more on top of things when it comes to that type of stuff, but I'm sure you could probably see that and see how that could be a big problem when someone doesn't take it as seriously and they're working closely with other people in a small environment such as your front office.
Well, yeah. So I tested positive in October, and obviously, David, being a really good friend of mine, walked me through some of these things, as he's very in the know as far as contact tracing goes, but. I don't know exactly. You can't 100% be sure exactly how you got it, but I was taking protocols very seriously. One of the only things that I had actually done was be in a hockey rink to call hockey as a broadcaster. And there was no fans at that game, so it wasn't like I was around a large group of people. But I kind of thought to myself, yeah, if I'm at a small junior hockey game with no fans, and I might have contracted it from there, how is it going to be when we are playing with a few thousand fans in the building? And our building is approved for up to 2,700 fans. So it definitely, not that I wasn't taking it seriously before, but it definitely obviously hits home. And it shows just how random this whole thing is and how limited data we have, being that I tested positive. I live with my girlfriend. She got tested multiple times after spending many, many hours with me during my isolation period, and all of her tests came back negative. So it just shows that there's not really a good rhyme or reason about things. Some people are getting it. Some people are spreading it more quickly than others. And it's just, you just have to be careful because you never know. And we just don't have enough information to really understand this yet.
Let's shift to a topic that affects you, Evan, and I very deeply. This sucks today, man. To do this darn thing where I show the hat and
that Pennington? Yeah.
That's a Jamal Adams. This thing.
Well, Adams, I'm not good with. Pennington, I love it.
This is awful, man. I am so frustrated today. I am so
I'm not. I actually have a totally different opinion about this.
Go ahead.
I think I understand the frustration, and I'm obviously frustrated too. Would I have wanted the first overall pick as a Jets fan? 100%. But here's where I feel that, in the competition of the NFL, if every team that's not in a competition for Super Bowl is just trying to tank and like purposely losing games, to me, that's bad for the sport. Like, I don't want to see that as a fan of sports. As a fan of the Jets, it's incredibly hard to want them to lose. Like, I never want my team to lose. And I wanted the number one pick. I did. But I also would feel horrible for some of these players who actually are giving it all. They're all out there. And I know they're making a ridiculous amount of money, and that's great. They're NFL players, but I feel like, you know what, good for them. They just beat a first place team. And they work for that, and they worked all year for it. So they could pick Trevor Lawrence, and he could have an ACL injury in the first week of the season, and everyone would be like, oh, the Jets, of course, they finally get the first pick, and then he's out for the year, and he doesn't materialize. You never know what's going to happen. It would be great to get Trevor Lawrence. They could still get Trevor Lawrence. Who knows? The Jaguars could win next week, and the Jets could be right back in the driver's seat. But I can't sit here and just be like, root for the Jets to lose. That's just not in my DNA.
I'll let Evan go ahead.
I am such a pessimistic New York sports fan.
Yeah, you're a Mets fan too, and so is
yeah.
Jeff.
So is Chef, and for the amount of times that I've actively cheered for the New York Jets to win a football game, right, and they haven't.
Yeah.
And then the time where you just all right, they're 0-13. Winning a game would be just end the season. Jets, as people like to make fun of online when they find out everyone's a Jets fan, they write that. And then they finally have an opportunity to be historically bad to the point where people feel sorry for you. It's kind of like a thing oh, thank you for your condolences. I am a Jets fan, sort of a thing. And they win a game. I can't even describe just my feelings on it. It's okay, I'm tired of rooting for you guys to win, lose a game. And then they win a game. I put on a Jets sweatshirt yesterday to enjoy the Jets losing, and they win?
This is the most classic Jets thing you can have.
I was cheer. I had Jet stuff on. I had a Jet sweatshirt. It's over there. I had it on. And I'm
lose. I was the same way.
Yeah, and I'm watching Red Zone because I don't want the full experience of watching the Jets anymore.
Yeah.
So, and they're hardly on Red Zone because they're never in the Red Zone. So I was excited. I was perfect. And then they're showing the game a little bit too much.
Well, yeah, there's only 3 games in the afternoon window.
That's another one. So I was okay, maybe keep it Chiefs Saints for the entire time, which I would be fine with. But then they kept showing the Jets driving and scoring, and then Braden Mann, the punter, makes the greatest block of his entire career in the fourth quarter, I mean, we're on totally different pages when it comes to this, Chef, and I know that.
Well, here's the other thing, is that I agree, because the entire time I was rooting against them. I agree with Jared that I feel so bad for the players, because we know that worked in the ECHL just how much goes at the AA level to winning one game on a Friday or a Saturday night. We know how much it means to the players and the coaches and the equipment guys and the athletic. But for 3 weeks, just please, guys, you just wait till the Jags win another game, and then you can win one game, and it's fine. And I know you can't pick and choose like that, but man, this is the only team I ever get myself worked up about.
They flew all the way out to LA. You're thinking, oh, they're playing the Rams, who are really good. They just had to do the cross-country trip. This is not when they're going to win.
Yeah, their body's on 3 hours behind, 3 hours ahead. It's everything's working against them, and they win.
All right, I don't want to talk about this anymore, because this is also an ECHL Flow Sports podcast. Jared, you and I both lived in Kearney, Nebraska. You for a little bit longer than I did. I loved it there. It's 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours west of Omaha, depending on who you're driving with, 2 hours west of Lincoln, and 5 hours east of Denver. If you have a night off, it's a Saturday night, which is rare. Let's just say it's a summer Saturday night, and you're on Central Ave. Where are you going in Kearney, Nebraska for a fun night out?
Well, at some point I would be at Fanatics. I don't know if some nights we would maybe start at Fanatics, but also we had some nights, and Fanatics also was our place to go after a game. So that was, on a Saturday night after a weekend set, you'll find me at probably at Fanatics. I really like the Platte Valley Brewery as well, downtown. Yeah, a big brewery guy. So the Platte Valley Brewery was fun. They had some decent food and a good place to just hang out and relax. More of a relaxed vibe there, which I liked. And I loved Kearney. I think that honestly, Kearney, and I don't know how this metric is determined, but bars per capita in Kearney, Nebraska, they are pretty high up on the list. I gotta say, like downtown, everywhere was all these bars. There was actually surprisingly a shocking amount of options. Oh, Thunderhead Brewery is the other one. I had a couple birthday parties at Thunderhead Brewery. Great pizza there. So no, I actually enjoyed my time immensely. The people that worked for the Tri-City Storm when I was there, the front office, we were extremely close, and I really had a good time. Although in the summer I wasn't there that much. I did a lot of traveling because I was outside of Nebraska for a lot of my summers when I was there.
I really enjoyed living there. Evan, go ahead.
Well, as someone who has never been to Kearney, Nebraska, I met Schaff when he was the voice of the Ferris State Bulldogs, and I was at Bowling Green. So that was my first time, I think, was it 2015-16 season?
That's correct.
So that's my first meeting with Jared Schaffrin, and I always enjoyed going to Big Rapids. The rink there is really cool. The Ava Glaben Ice Arena, which I still remember how to pronounce. And for those watching at home, and hopefully, you're all at home, and I don't know where else you'd be watching a video podcast. But if you are at Ava Glaben Ice Arena, it has a cool stands and then community rink vibe to it, where the back wall behind the bench is just a cinder block wall, which is cool, has a lot of character. But I'm trying to remember if I ever really went out in Big Rapids. There's one bar that I remember. I don't know what it's called. I don't know if you could just give me a rundown of every place that you remember ever stepping foot in Big Rapids, and maybe it'll come up.
The bars per capita in Big Rapids, not as high as Kearney, not as many options, but also actually a few good places. Actually, one of my favorite places, I don't know, Piv, when you were there, might have been before me. I can't remember, but there's a place called Raven Barbecue that was excellent, that opened up right around the time that I moved there, that I really like. The place that is very popular among the college students is the Star Shooters.
Right?
Shooters. Which it's funny, because Kearney also had a place called Shooters, and I was like, this is surreal when I moved to Michigan. But yes, Shooters is a very popular place. I can say I was only there once or twice, so it wasn't my spot.
Yeah,
but.
The thing with traveling with college rather than in pro now that really sticks out to me is that everything's very organized when you travel with college in terms of meals. I don't know how Ferris State did it, but at Bowling Green,
very organized.
We'd have breakfast in the hotel, lunch in the hotel, and dinner in the hotel. And you never got an opportunity to go out and like try these restaurants and do all this stuff, which is one of my biggest regrets. I'm like, oh, just save the meal at dinner. I want to go out somewhere. But now, like, you get to go explore different cities in the ECHL with a little bit of per diem, which makes you have a little hop, skip, and a jump in your step. And you get to go enjoy these nice places. What are some of your favorite places in the ECHL to go out and have a meal in?
Yeah, it's funny how things change. When I was a student at Northeastern, I had more of the experience that you just described, where the meals were very structured. I was kind of on the road with the team. They would figure me in for the meal. I just eat at the hotel. It was great. Yeah, no problem.
Which we were all very thankful for, by the way.
Yes. Oh, I was thrilled for that. But when I got to Ferris State, the coaching staff there, Bob Daniels and his staff, all of them on that staff when I was there had all been there for at least a decade. So they were very set in their situation. And actually, they went the exact opposite way. The staff was not a part of the team meals at all. On the road, the players would go and eat their food. That was their food. But the staff, since they knew a lot of those places, old CCHA cities, they had their spots for each. Like when we went to Northern in Marquette, we go to this place. When we go to Houghton and Michigan Tech, we go to this place. When we go to, you guys Bowling Green, we go to this place. So I was like just along for the ride. I was trying new places in every city when I was there, and we didn't have any of the team meals. But in the ECHL specifically, I think it's funny, a lot of the times we're playing Greenville or Jacksonville, but those are day trips for us. So I've actually haven't spent too much time in some of the cities that are closer to us in the South Division. But for me, Orlando is like the city that I've spent the most times. And we've also had 2 playoff series against them as well. So I've ended up being out in Orlando a bunch. And man, they have some great – Orlando to me is a very underrated downtown city. I think – We've been to a lot of different restaurants around there, and it's a fun place to be. So I'd have to say, Orlando might be up there for one of my favorite ECHL road cities. And I don't know why I'm not remembering, but also I know that you guys also like Norfolk, and I love Norfolk as well. There's a couple great places on Granby Street that I would really enjoy going to, either on a night off before games or after games. So, those are 2 of the places that I spent more time, that we've stayed overnight and had some good meals there.
What was your spot in BG before I cut off David again?
I think we went to Frickers.
Frickers. All right.
I think that was our athletic trainer, Tim Glover. That was a mandate from him. And then it's funny because I went to Frickers when I went to Toledo, because there was one there as well.
Yep, there's one right attached to the baseball stadium in Toledo. Yeah, Frickers, having a frickin' good time. I think that's what their slogan is. Please sponsor us as well, Frickers. Thank you.
Evan, tell the story about driving from Norfolk to Glens Falls and stopping in Philadelphia to get food at 2 a.m, please.
Oh, yes. This is one of my favorite ECHL stories. I had to remember what you were talking about there for a second. But yes, we had when I was at Bowling Green, we had a player, Ben Murphy, who was traded to Adirondack in the middle of a 20-day road trip. It was my first year, probably the second month in. It was November. So he was moving all of his stuff from Norfolk to Glens Falls. And when he got traded, Norfolk was in Brampton. And we had just pick him up basically in Brampton, because that's where they left him. So we went so we ended up playing Norfolk on the trip. That's where one of our stops. So he had to get all of his stuff back. So I was like, okay, our coach Brad Tapper said, you go with Ben, him. Just make sure he gets all of his stuff there, okay, and drive back. So we were driving. It was actually from Norfolk to Manchester, and
even better.
So so we left after the game in Norfolk. Stopped in Philly at 3 a.m. Because we were hungry, and the only place that I knew was open, Pat's and Gino's for cheesesteaks. So we got one from each, and then split it, and then decided which one was better. And then we made the trip and finished the trip to Manchester, and we got there 4 hours before the bus did. I napped before the bus got there. So that's a fun little ECHL tale from the road.
What he didn't say was that he had 5,000 New Jersey 24-hour diners to choose from if he just went over on 95, but he wasn't that smart. So, I mean, I respect the Packers game. There's gyms is better. There's a lot of places that are better as the Philadelphia driver's license person here. So, but yeah.
So I've been to Philly a bunch, but Ben at the time had not. So I had to do like kind of the tourist thing with him. So, and I was fine with it because who doesn't love a 3 a.m. cheesesteak?
Okay, I get it. You know, hockey guys are simple guys. They want the bread and butter. I know how it works. So
the bread, the cheese, and the steak.
Yeah, it was either Chipotle or it was Pat's and Cheese, you know. So it was gonna be one of those two. Jared, I'm gonna play a clip for you here. Gonna have you on for just a few more minutes.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell me. Evan didn't know I was going to do this, but what this memory evokes for you, and we hope you can hear this.
Into the zone, Bessie to the front, they score! They score! Jordan Samuels-Thomas buries it with 50.1 to go!
Why I had now, there's multiple reasons why the call was what it was, but
it's a great call. I love it.
No, I love that. That is, I actually thought about when we had a lot of time to think this offseason. And, you know, I was thinking about just a few of the years that I've been here. And that particular game is probably, or even just that sequence is probably my favorite sequence in my 4 seasons that I've been here. And so specifically, I know that the game was our second to last game of the season. We were playing Atlanta, and it was the 2018-19 year. And we had a little bit of a really, I should say, we had a decent start. We were coasting along in second place. And we
Hashtag baby.
And we had a really rough January, and we lost our footing on a playoff spot. We were chasing it in February. We made some trades at the deadline in March trying to get our team better. And it was an absolute dogfight in March and the first week of April to try to get into the playoffs. Many people may know or may not know the Stingrays have only missed the playoffs once in the team's history, and it's been a long time. I think it's been like 12 or 13 years in a row they've made the playoffs now. So there is a long streak of making the playoffs. You don't want to be the team that doesn't make the playoffs when you have a streak going like that. And so every day, just an absolute grind. But we were coming up short. It looked like we were going to come up short. The chances, the win percent, the Amazon percentage of chance that we were going to make to reference Red Zone was well under 50% by the last week and a half of the season.
Kornacki was killing you on the playoff thing. I know what you're talking about. All right, keep it going.
So we were down to our last 3 games of the year, and we were playing Atlanta in all 3 of the last games. So it was like a little baseball 3-game series, and we had to win all 3. We could win them in overtime. So it didn't have to be that we had to have a regulation win, but we had to win all 3 games. And we won the first one. And that first one was a Sunday game. And we then had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to prepare for the next weekend's set. And that game was the game number 2. We were like legitimately minutes away from the end of the game. That was in the final minute of the game. And the game was tied. And again, we had to win. And the first part of that clip was a chance for Nick Bly, who is a former South Carolina Stingray, and he was left, I don't know what happened on our D-zone coverage, but he was literally wide open with an unbelievable chance to score. And if he puts that puck in the net, we lose and our season is over. And Parker Milner made such a phenomenal save. When we didn't give him any help, he saved the entire season by making that save. But the rebound came right out to our forwards, and they rushed up the ice in like a 3-on-1. And then when you pick up the clip, it's Grant Bessie to Samuels-Thomas, and Samuels-Thomas camped out right in front of the net, puts it in. And so in a matter of like 8 seconds, we go from the season being over to we just scored in the last minute to win the game, and now we are in a win-and-in scenario for Game 3. And, of course, we end up winning that third game the next day in Atlanta after Atlanta's bus broke down in our parking lot. We had to change the time of the game. It was like the most dramatic weekend of all time. But that play in just that one sequence, it was surreal. Like fans, and we have some great clips of fans jumping up and down. I mean, it was such a crazy swing of emotions. So there's one great story of the guy who was our part-time social media manager that season. Unbelievable guy. Shout out Ryan Altenbach, phenomenal kid. He went downstairs and he was on the back. He was like on the glass with his phone filming for social media to put it on like Instagram story. And he got so pumped up that he like jumped up on the glass and was like filming it. And a security guard was like, "Whoa, buddy," and literally yanked him down. But on our replay, it actually, you can see that like the camera on the replay, you can see the security guard and him just being like, "Oh," and him getting yanked down off the glass. And like, he told me the story, and then I went back and watched it. I'm like, this is amazing that was caught on camera.
These are bedtime stories that only Evan's apartment could appreciate.
Speaking of, see how dark it's getting? It's almost time for a bedtime story. But luckily, technology.
Today's like the shortest day.
Look at that.
Oh.
Whoa. You can see me again.
Isn't today the winter solstice? It's like the darkest day.
Is today the 21st? I don't know what day it is anymore. It is. Today is the darkest day of the year. And that's
Tanner Sorenson on the shortest day of the year in Alaska. He had 4.5 hours of sunlight, he was estimating today.
Which is probably a lot in terms of Alaska.
Yeah.
Like a lot of places in Alaska, I'm sure, have a lot less.
Go north 8 hours to Fairbanks, and they have 2.5 hours probably.
If that. Yeah.
Maybe not even.
Don't really have too much else with you, Chef. We appreciate you hopping in. People can find you on Twitter and doing all that fun stuff on social media. What can we look forward to coming out from the South Carolina Stingrays in the next couple of weeks?
Well, it's like I said, it's been pretty amazing to see the amount of people that are reaching out and getting involved, and happy to see that the league is going and that we're playing. We actually have a pretty interesting schedule coming up as far as holiday time goes. We've got games this weekend, no game on Christmas, but a game on Saturday against Greenville, and then Sunday we're here against Greenville at 3 o'clock, a little Sunday afternoon game. But we actually have a New Year's Day game at Greenville at 2 p.m.
Love that.
That's going to be a little bit different. And then we go from there to Jacksonville and face Jacksonville. So we're going to see a lot of Greenville and Jacksonville over the next couple of weeks. And then we actually have a trip up to Wheeling. So we have not been to Wheeling at all in the time that I've been with the Stingrays. They played us here, but a lot of Stingrays will play their first games up at the West Banco Arena coming up on January, later in January, I believe. Yeah.
We'll just superimpose the actual dates, and I'll say it in a robotic voice, so it sounds good.
Get ready for the Banco bounces, baby. The fighting DJ Abasala is getting ready for the Banco bounces. So, Jeff, I could talk to you for an hour and a half more. Evan could do the same, as will happen if our agents call each other off the air. But it's been a joy. Thank you for hopping on, and we appreciate your insight and kindness and everything else that you wonderfully bring to the table, as always.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well. We are here at the end of episode 3. It has been a wonderful episode 3. Tanner Sorenson was excellent, and we followed it up with the Shaft Daddy, Jared Shafrin, coming on, voice of the South Carolina Stingrays, sharing his insights. It just goes to show you.
And noted fan of the podcast.
Noted. We'll take the fans where we can get them. They are still listening at this point of the episode. We will take all your fandom. It was a great episode. The teams, players, couple days off before they get it going. Friday is Christmas, so then on Saturday they'll restart things in the Premier AA Hockey League, Saturday, Sunday games like Jared was mentioning during our interview with him. And then it leads us to week 4, which normally week 4 would only be the start of November or something like that, but you're already into January, and of course it's a 72-game season. These guys duking it out, and I am very much looking forward to another week in the Premier AA Hockey League in front of us.
That for sure. Again, as you mentioned, Tanner was great. Jared, it's always nice to shoot the stuff with him. And I mean, episode 3, has flown by like that. I don't know if viewers have felt that way, probably watching our longest episode so far. But for us, it's been a lot of fun. And we wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, very happy holidays. And we can't wait for the next episode. And if you have any questions for us or want us to talk about anything, because we will, David, we will talk about anything if people prompt us, especially me. I'll talk about anything if prompted. Let us know. Find us on Twitter, Instagram.
We got to do something for New Year's next week. A New Year's edition of Coastin's going to be coming up. It appears looking at the calendar. So I'm not dressing up as Baby New Year. I don't think
neither am I, but I don't know. Can you still find like the year glasses anywhere?
Does anybody whoever still owns a pair of 2020, they look so good, the 2020 glasses.
They are the perfect glasses because it's not like a weird shaped number. They're circles. So you can just do this and it'll be 2020.
But it's the worst freaking year to own them. That's the problem. It's the best glasses, but the worst year.
You gotta there's pros and cons to everything.
I felt it in my soul there.
I mean, if you look at the pros and cons of the year 2020, you look at the pros right away, the glasses of New Year's, number one. And then the cons is like everything else that happened in the year 2020. But the pro, for sure, I don't know if it doesn't outweigh the cons. It's close. But the 2020 New Year's glasses,
the beginning of the distribution of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, number one on the list of redeemable things about 2020. And number two is that the New Year's glasses were pretty good.
Yes.
That's all I got.
Yeah,
so,
that's all I got too.
Yeah, it's been great. Enjoy your week.
You as well.
Yeah, enjoy your Christmas Eve and your Christmas. And we will be back next week. And we're always taking guest suggestions via the Twitter machine. So you can hit us up there if there's anyone you want to see on. Until next time, have a great rest of your day.